Hey folks, hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk about a band called Sweet. I think a pretty misunderstood band, and as a result, an unfortunate situation with these guys as far as in North America and their success. I mean, apart from, everybody knows Blitzkrieg, Ballroom Blitz, and everybody knows Fox on the Run, but there was a lot more to this band, and but we'll get into that and talk a little bit about the history, and then of course we're gonna cover our 5 favorite records. But to help me in that endeavor, I got my 2 experts, Martin Popoff, Grant Arthur. How you guys doing?
Oh, doing okay. Looking forward to
We've got another expert pack.
Yes.
A baby squirrel who I rescued out of the backyard because he fell out of the tree and the mother did not come and get him. So I'll have to take him to the wildlife center tomorrow. But feast your eyes on the baby squirrel. And he's cold. He's cold. All right.
Man.
Bet when you tune into this, that's the last thing you thought you'd see.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is all I need is to take care of a baby squirrel. But I can't help myself. If anybody can help, please come on over because but he's cute. Look at this. He's cute.
Is there a vet in the house?
Look at that baby. Oh, his eyes aren't even open. All right. It's just part of my life.
All right, let me just give a quick hello to the folks that have joined us so far. We got Lee Page, welcome. Jason Budney, nice to see you. There's Joe DeLenza. Simon Williams, hey man, I hope you're doing well in the UK. Awesome. Tyler Patterson, Dark Wizard, Papa Blue, Ken White, and Jay Miller. Thanks everybody for joining us. So before we get going on this, I mean, you guys probably know a lot more about Sweet than I do. I'm kind of a recent comer to the band, but in looking at in reading up on their history and that they to me and tell me if I'm off here, they almost started off as kind of like the Monkees, where somebody else was writing all their songs, but the difference being that they could actually play their instruments, and when they did write original songs, they were actually really, really good. Like it's almost the way they started, and because of the songs that they wrote or they were performing originally and then what they became over time, is that kind of like you think that's a little unfortunate to how that played out in their career?
We're getting a lot of echo from you, Hack.
Yeah, let me just fix that.
Wait a minute. Hold on. It might not be him.
No, it's not. I got Michael cancellation on.
Both of us. Okay, it's good now.
All right, perfect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you a little bit of a background. I mean, I feel like there's a whole bunch of phases to this band, but just focusing on those first, let's say 3, they started actually as a very poppy band, like really poppy, light, novelty songs, and then they went into heavy but still poppy, the glam phase, where they had the big Chin Chapman hits. And then the next phase is when it's a mix of Chin Chapman stuff and them writing their own songs, and they get much more technically heavy metal and seriously are thinking about, we want to compete with Deep Purple kind of thing. So I got into them off of one of those K-Tel samplers, Sound Explosion or something like that. I remember hearing Little Willie super early, like I was 9 or 10 years old. So it was on that, along with your Ballroom Blitz and Focus, Hocus Pocus. Along with Brownsville Station, Smoking in the Boys Room, and Hocus Pocus. We're on that. I think on that same album, where there were a couple of them there. But so they have a very patchy, complicated history in terms of U.S. releases and stuff. But when we get into it, I'll explain that one, because my first one is going to be one of those. So.
Okay. Well, you Grant, thoughts on Sweet before we get going here?
I like all of it.
Oh, you do?
I like the bubblegums, sure, because they're great songs. These guys, I don't think they were really playing on those tracks so much, but they were singing on them, and I like all of it. I don't think there's really any era of Sweet that I dislike.
Yeah, that I don't know. That bubblegum stuff is painful, dude. I can't.
Depends upon what you like.
Yeah. Well, I guess when you hear the good stuff, you kind of, for me anyway, I had a hard time going back and listen to the bubblegum stuff, the early stuff. But yeah, and then then the whole band. I mean, the way they sort of ended was kind of Billy Connolly left. Apparently, had a major alcohol problem. They couldn't tour with them.
Brian Connolly,
yeah, or Billy Connolly. Or is it Brian?
Billy Connolly's still with us. Brian's not though.
And then they went on as three of them, and then they sort of turned into like two Sweets, and they were touring at the same time, and a whole mess. And Andy Scott kept going for you. He just put out a record called Sweet under the Sweet banner not too long ago.
Full Circle,
yeah. So there, some form of Sweet is still out there and still doing it. So yeah. All right.
That later Sweet stuff is good. I mean, it's not the original band by any means. Yeah. You could call it a cover band, but hey, you have to hand it to Andy Scott for carrying the flag and still pursuing it. Those records,
the same haircut, yeah,
with the same wig,
yeah. A wig? What? Anyway,
I'm sure it's a wig.
Okay, that's a topic for another show. So anyway, so we all picked our favorite 5 records, and I don't know, since there's only 5, maybe we'll just go one at a time around. And
okay.
So yeah, Martin, what do you got for your number 5?
Well, okay, so yeah, just for the record, I mean, I don't know if anybody's going to be picking this one, but I just and I'm not either, but this is kind of the official first Sweet record, called Funny Funny How Sweet Cocoa Can Be.
Yeah.
And it's a mix of bubble gum, and it's actually got some of the heavier stuff on it as well. But I'm kind of going with the same idea, which is the first record in the States, which is just called The Sweet. Okay. And it's got the the Hershey chocolate packaging, the brown and silver there. And it says right on it, featuring Little Willie and Blockbuster. So that's sort of into their second phase, when they were like the heaviest and best of the early days glam bands. And this is on Bell, and it's 1973. And so it's got, Wig Wam Bam, Hellraiser, Blockbuster, and Little Willie all sound kind of like that. And that's cool. This sounds like early Kiss or heavy BTO, right? And then it's got some other kind of heavy tunes on here. You got your Need a Lot of Lovin' Man from Mecca. It's kind of a weird mix of things. Spotlight on here is acoustic. New York Connection is sort of bad early Kiss sort of thing. You're Not Wrong for Loving Me, acoustic ballad. But so yeah, this is a fairly heavy album. It's got a little bit of technical Sweet, a little bit of early heavy glam Sweet, and then some oddity and not anything particularly super early bubblegum. It's got some acoustic as well. So it's a compilation, to be sure, but it's kind of the first official American release. So that's my number 5.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Sweet here, is that a lot of all the records up to what? Give Us a Wink. That was a compilation too. They used singles from the UK. The record after that, I think, was an actual quote unquote match the UK album. So here we got a mix. But I'm just saying, that album that Martin showed is fantastic. Because look, the same thing like we did with the Beatles. Capitol would take the singles and they'd put them on the records. It was commonplace. And still, even in the 70s, we were still doing that stuff. So all that Sweet stuff, all those records, Destination Boulevard, fantastic record, but it was a comp here in the States. So it is what it is. But that's a great pick, Martin, no doubt.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What's your number 5, Grant?
My number 5, I'm going to go with Level Headed 1978. And again, this does match the UK record, but here in the States, and I think in Canada, we had different artwork. And I will have to say this at the artwork in the States, as opposed to the UK band shot, much improved. So, but this is very polished. There's not much of Brian on here. Brian's pretty much on Love is Like Oxygen because he was in a bad situation. And I think Love is Like Oxygen, pretty much Andy put all that together in his home studio. But Brian came through on it. But the last thing of the classic lineup, you've got ballads, you've got rockers, you've got prog on here. It was last massive hit. It had Love is Like Oxygen, which I think is, just between us, I think that is their masterpiece. I think it's fantastic. Other tracks on here, California Nights is great, kind of sunny, harmony-drenched pop rocker, Fountain, deep cut, very emotional. It's a strong record. This is the end of the line as far as I'm concerned. But I like it, so I'm going to go with number 5 on here. So
okay, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. And yeah, my number 5, but this is the other cover.
Yeah, the other cover's better.
Yeah,
the other cover.
Yeah, this is way better for sure.
Yeah,
so this is a close up of the capstans and the head on a recording reel, right? And then in the gatefold, they gave you that big live shot, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys are going to have to hold up the album covers because I'm holding a squirrel. Yeah, so exactly. I'm a little bit busy.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, with them, they did evolve quite a bit. It's like the guys in the band, they were so capable and they were such good players and such good musicians, and they had so many different facets to what they did. And you know, this album is, for me, this is sort of the point where they kind of went more AOR sort of yacht rock, but not necessarily that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, there's some really well written melodic songs here. Dream On, you know, piano, it's beautiful. I mean, it to me, it sounds like a Billy Joel song. You know, you got Strong Love is great. Silver Bird's got the fantastic chorus. You know, this one and that one and Fountain are my favorites on this record. You know, it's a different kind of sweet. It's still good. And again, like, this really shows like all the different influence and the styles coming together, you know, and just the sort of the, you know, the greatness in the variety of material that they were able to produce. And just, these guys are just phenomenal players and just phenomenal songwriters. You know, they hold your interest from record to record because you see this sort of evolution. It's like they just, from record to record, they'll kind of sprinkle in different things that you didn't hear on the previous record. You know, it's like they just kind of keep going to the well, so to speak, and bringing in these different influences. And yeah, but that's a great album. It's a great album. I love it. And Love is Like Oxygen for me is not even the best song on there. You know, just to show you like how good that record is. So, but yeah, there you go.
I don't know. I still think Love is Like Oxygen is the masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, I think there's a lot of great songs by this band, but that is a masterpiece for sure. Yeah. Symphony's really cool too. And a song on my next pick is, I think, one of their masterpieces too. So okay. So yeah, my next pick number 4, I'm going with Desolation Boulevard, the UK version. Here's a Canadian version. Of course, as we know, I'll keep the history brief, but this was when everybody was super excited about Sweet in North America, 1975. Even though they didn't tour here, but they're getting Fox on the Run as a hit and Ballroom Blitz as a hit, and they're like a roller rink band. Everybody loves them, kind of thing, right? But the UK version of this album, which has the same cover as this, starts off with the 16s, okay song. Solid Gold Brass, okay song. Turn It Down, not great. Medusa was the B-side of a single I got as a kid. It might have been Fox on the Run, but that is an absolute masterpiece.
Yes.
Really, really cool, heavy, proggy song, beautifully recorded. Really, really serious, epic song. And then Lady Starlight to close the side, which is like a ballad. Then Man with the Golden Arm, I Could Do Without. That's a cover hour long thing. Fox on the Run's pretty darn good song. Breakdown's not great, and then they do a cover of My Generation, which sucks. So
I
yeah,
like it.
definitely a pretty patchy album. It's a little bit obscure, weird. It's kind of a weird record that they put together for this album. You know, and in some respects, yeah, I don't know. It just never, you know, but they really fixed it for this. I mean, Capitol really got it together and did an amazing version of the North American release. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So that's my number 4.
All right.
That was their biggest seller in North America.
Gold album, the only gold album they ever got.
Gold, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. My number 4, I'm going to go with Off the Record 1977. Way more mature. Holy crap, ladies and gentlemen, if you want riffs, this is your record. This shows the band evolving into a tighter, harder hitting unit, but they still have a little bit of glam sprinkled on top. I think this record's really underrated. I mean, the artwork matches level-headed. That's what I love about this stuff. But man, longer jams, tighter grooves. The band is on fire. They are out, you know, they are on their own at this point. They're writing all their own stuff. Fever of Love, great single. Holy crap, that has Sweet written all over it. Windy City, a 7-minute plus epic. Talk about riffs. I mean, it's got some prog on there as well. Fantastic stuff. Los Angeles, Laura Lee. It's great. They're still a glam band, but man, this is a record that just doesn't give up. And they do show a lot more of they're much more mature on here. And there's a lot of muscle. I would say this is fantastic. But I think the reason this is number 4 is I think that the songwriting starts to, it's not quite up to snuff compared to like my other picks. So, but still a fine effort. So that's my number 4.
Man, it's almost like we compared notes, Grant, because that's also my number 4.
Well, we could have, but I don't remember that we did. I was out rescuing squirrels.
Around the wilderness.
If you can see him, everybody, there he is, right here.
Nice.
Star of the show, though.
I feel like he's trying to take a teat, but he's not.
Yeah, Off the Record. Yeah, for me, that one is a little bit of a shift in musical direction here, a little less hard rock. This is a little more power pop, a little more keys, some more layered vocals on this. There is a couple of exceptions to that, though. Windy City is freaking heavy as hell. She Give Me Lovin'. Those are all both old school, you know, sweet, heavy rockers. My favorite track on this, though, is the absolutely cool, very Zeppelin-esque Hard Times. That is just an amazing song. And, you know, Laura Lee, that is a great example of an early power ballad. That's 1977. That's a power ballad. You know, and then you've got a variety on this, right? You got tracks like Funk It Up. You know, I think this album, more than the others, at least up to this point, really shows the diversity of the band. You know, along with the hard rock, you've got pop, you've got funk, and there's even some prog leanings in there now and again. You know, and the musicianship throughout all these records is just tremendous. These guys are absolutely phenomenal players. And yeah, I mean, musicianship, talent-wise, these guys were on another level. I mean, and it comes out in their music. You know, you can hear it with all the experimentation thing. Like, there's like nothing they can't do. You know, Funk It Up. I mean, you know, and it's cool. You know, like heavy pop. You know, the layering of the vocals, like the guitar playing. It's all top notch. It's fantastic. So, really great record. Off the Record, really good. Yeah, That's my number 4.
All right, my number 3, Off the Record. And you know that the decline is in. I remember this just being in the delete bins all the time. Nobody paid it any attention here in Canada. I love it. It is a good, solid, heavy record. I like what Grant said, how the songwriting maybe is down just a little bit. I mean, everything, from the couple of previous years, everything's like super charming and flashy and interesting ideas. Here it's a little more conservative, a little more straightforward. You got the absolute crushing heavy songs on here, like the big doomy Windy City, Hard Times, like you say, Hack, like a heavy Zeppelin song. You got this super fast one at the end, She Give Me Lovin', kind of like a dumb title, and it's the last track, and yet it's the fastest song. It's just a speed metal song. But then Grant, as you say, Fever of Love is just exquisite, yummy, old days, glammy, heavy, sweet. That's great. And yeah, the production's great, big vaulted vocals all over it. I don't like Funk It Up at all on here. Lost Angels is great as well. That's a cool one. Stairway to the Stars is cool. Live for Today. So you've got a little bit of a mix, a few different things going on. It's not quite as adventurous as my other picks on here, but good solid album. Was totally ignored, and I just remember this almost being doomed to the cutout bin right away because, I guess the big problem with Sweet is that they just did not hammer it hard and tour here, kind of thing.
Yeah, that might have been it.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to show just a couple more things just while I have them out. So this is like an alternate version pretty much of the Sweet album, or even the Coco album. If you got Funny on here, Tom Turnaround. So you got all that old Chop Coco, all that terrible stuff on here as well, plus some of the heavy ones. And then another one that doesn't really count as a Sweet album that's kind of cool is Sweet Strung Up, which is like a live album, but there's kind of rarities to it as well. And it's Joe Pantagno, who does the Motorhead art, did that artwork. Kind of cool. So that's like a double album. And then, there's other things that aren't going to be on our list, but we've talked about them a little bit, how Andy came out as Andy Scott Sweet and, patchy patchwork of bands throughout the years. But that last one is actually pretty solid, that Full Circle album. So anyways, that's my number 3.
All right.
Cool.
What do we got, Grant?
Oh, let me switch screens. All right, number 3. All right, I'm going to go with Give Us a Wink from 1976. Again, we've got a different version in the States and probably in Canada. I think Canada and the United States often mirrored each other as far as song titles.
Might be only a single track, Grant, I think, switched. I
think it was.
I don't have it straight here, but where's my copy?
Was it Action?
Oh yeah, maybe there's a couple of differences.
I think that there's a couple of different
Lady
ones.
Starlight, I think, is on ours and not on theirs, something like that.
Anyway, this is fully self-written and self-produced. This is Sweet giving the middle finger to the old Sweet of long ago. This one's much. I will say this: these guys have an attitude on this record. It's much cockier, crunchier, heavier than ever. Pure swagger. It's almost like, think about Queen level production flair on here. This has it. This is one of the you go out and look at fan sites. The fans love this record. This is a guitar. This is a total guitar record, and it's in your face. And they went full arena rock. I guess I could call it arena rock. I don't know. Did arena rock exist in 1976? I guess it did.
Yeah, it did. Started.
But Action, massive hit single. Monster riff. This really defined their live sets. The Lies in Your Eyes, very slick, a very driving rocker. Killer hooks. And like I said, there's attitude, ladies and gentlemen, on this record all the way. 4th of July, an anthem, pure energy, healer. God, this also has the track Cockroach, which will change your life.
Yep.
And you will never be the same once you hear it.
Yeah.
But
that is true.
It's crunchy. It's hard rock. The solos, Andy's guitar solos on here. Smoke. But I give this record, if I'm going to rate I would give this a solid 9 out of 10. I think this possibly might be their peak. At least it's a peak. This is their best album after they've gotten to that point where they write it all, they produce it all. this is the peak as far as I'm concerned. Though, even though it's number 3, but
I'd say it's their heaviest record too.
Yeah.
Overall. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Give us a wink, 1976.
All right. Well, we finally diverge a little bit, Grant, because my number 3, Fanny Adams. This is another one of their hard rock records. Basically, in a nutshell, you got a great up-tempo opener with Set Me Free. My favorite track on this is No You Don't, which is a Chapman Chin track, and which is weird because I'm not a fan of those singles that they wrote for these guys, but this is actually my favorite track on here. Most of the record's really good, foot stomping rockers, and it's got a really nice, dry, natural production where you hear everything, nothing is cluttered, everything has space. It's awesome. Unfortunately, there is a song on there, the cover of Peppermint Twist, which is like, what the hell are you guys doing? Why don't you write another kick-ass original song and put that there instead? So that drags it down a little bit. There's another track on there that I'm not crazy about called Rebel Rouser. It just sounds a little too formulaic, kind of like the early bubblegummy kind of, I don't know. I just don't like that track. But that's why it's number 3 and not up higher, because this is a really great hard rock record, just a great sounding, clean 70s record with great playing, great drums, the bass lines, man, the bass, Steve Priest, oh my God, what a phenomenal bass player. He's playing his ass off, nice melodic lines, and you hear every single note. You hear everything from everybody on these records, especially these earlier ones. The production is so clean. It's pristine. It's beautiful. So that's my number 3.
Nice. All right. My number 2 is Sweet Fanny Adams, 1974. They did both of these albums in 74. This serves as sort of the trunk of our, domestic Desolation Angels Boulevard. Sorry. I always do that, but
I know.
Great Mick Tucker drumming on here. Good technical metal songs. It is a mix, like you say, a hack of some Chin Chapman stuff on here, which is fine. Heartbreak Today is a little lesser. But pretty much everything else except for that, horrible Peppermint Twist. This is part of that whole rock and roll revival stuff that was going on at this time. I mean, they almost made an old rock and roll revival concept album at this time. Thank God they shelved that. But yeah, we've got Sweet FA on here, one of their heaviest songs, Set Me Free, one of their heaviest songs, No You Don't, one of their heaviest songs, and Into the Night also. All of those are crazy heavy. And then you've got some of the really good kind of glammy things on here, like Rebel Rouser and AC/DC. So yeah, just really solid throughout, just better, less obscure sounding than their other 1974 albums. So there we go. Sweet Fanny Adams.
All right. Fantastic. This panel is on fire. My number 2 is Sweet Fanny Adams as well, 1974. This is their first real album after ditching Chin and Chapman. The Hit Factory, we have progressed, but it's raw, it's heavy. This is glam, kids. And this hits harder than any other records that have came before. I think that when I listen to this record, well, yeah, you might have to say that, well, Hack doesn't like Rebel Rouser. And what was what was the other track you didn't like?
Peppermint.
Peppermint Twist. Yeah.
You sure that's not like a bonus track? I don't know.
It's right there. Yeah.
All right. I don't know. Because, we've kind of talked about it with this catalog, is that they've been reissued so many times and different lineups. And, Sweet Fanny Adams never came out in the United States.
Right.
So it's a little bit, this kind of is my favorite record, but I can't put it at number 1 because there's something that's even stronger. But Set Me Free. Well, I know I said that Love Is Like Oxygen is their masterpiece, but I think as a rocker, and I'm going to go, and you can quote me on this, This is the best opening track ever on a record. Set Me Free. Show me a better opening track. Explosive. Mick Tucker's drums just reach out and get you. The wah-wah guitars, Brian screaming like his life depends on it. God, give me I'll take it all day. Sweet FA is fantastic, humorous. Heartbreak Today is fine. Rebel Rouser, yeah, it's riff city though. The riffs are good. I'll give you that. But I think that this is, every time I talk, the squirrel moves. This is unfiltered, hard glam.
Yeah.
What I think, how would I describe this? Deep Purple meets T-Rex meets Cheap Trick. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
You know, I'm not a big T-Rex guy, but I can see where you can kind of feel that within this. So I'd say Deep Purple meets T-Rex meets,
or Deep Purple meets Slade,
or Slade. Yeah. You could put Slade in there easily.
This stuff, I mean, you can't compare this stuff to T-Rex. I mean, T-Rex stuff is that simplistic foot stomping 2-chord crap. This stuff is way more involved, way better musicianship. It's on a different level, man.
It is, but I think the songwriting on this record, I mean, other than what you mentioned the other 2 tracks, Peppermint Twist, and I don't know. They're running out of stuff. But for the most part, I think songwriting wise, this record kills. So
yeah. All righty. So this is number 2. I'm going with album that's already been mentioned. Give Us a Wink. What I found and listened to was, for this record, was 8 tracks. 8 tracks is what I found. So I don't know if there's alternate versions of it or what, but you know what? 8 tracks is all you need. Man, standouts for me on this. Yesterday's Rain. Phenomenal. And then you got Cockroach. Masterpiece. Cockroach. I'm listening to that and I'm like, you know what? This could have been a Zeppelin song on Physical Graffiti. Okay, that's what I'm hearing, man. I'm hearing the Zeppelin-y type of riffing. There's even parts where he sings it that I can almost hear Robert Plant's vocal style on this track. It's absolutely phenomenal. And Yesterday's Rain, it's got that upstroke, upbeat during the verse, and then the chordal pattern that comes on the chorus is just super, super hooky. Just so well done. Just phenomenal songwriting, man. Just phenomenal. What else did I write here? Lies in Your Eyes. Great opener. Another of their foot stomper tracks. Keep It In. Keep It In reminds me a lot of Stone Cold Crazy by Queen. Just saying. 4th of July is really cool. The Closer Healer could be, that one is a little bit long. That could be a little bit shorter. But overall, man, this is a really good hard rock, just driving hard rock record. Great hooks, exceptional songs. But for me, it's not as consistent as my number 1. But it's a fantastic, fantastic record. And again, it sounds phenomenal. So there you go.
Okay, my number 1 is Give Us a Wink. I've always loved this album. It is Zeppelin-esque and Bonham-esque at the bottom end because they're recording it at the same time as Led Zeppelin Presence at the same place, Music Land in Munich. And they put Mick Tucker out in the loading bay kind of thing, just the same way they did with John Bonham. Or hang on, let me get that story straight. So they put Cozy Powell out there for sure. I'm pretty sure when they were doing Rising. But anyways, I definitely know that they did put Mick Tucker out there. But this is actually a much better sounding album than Presence. It is just huge all over and molten guitar tones. I think actually their masterpiece, I would put number 1 song, best sweet song of all time, as Action. And that is on our domestic. That's the opener on our domestic version of this album. To me, this is their Bohemian Rhapsody. It's got a lot of cool production touches to it. But yeah, you've got Keep It In and White Mice, which are super fast and cool and technical. You got the crushing heavy ones in Yesterday's Rain and Cockroach, and some other heavy songs elsewhere. And Lies in Your Eyes is a little bit Lost Angels sort of feel. But yeah, I think everything just comes together on this one. It's got brilliant production. Their heaviest album, I agree on that as well. And it feels like it's got less of a tug towards those Chin Chapman sort of songs mixed with the technical metal. To me, this is the most unified album that they did. So that's my number one. Give us a wink.
Okay, cool.
That's a great record.
All right, kids. All right, this may be a sin, but it might not be. I have to give Capitol Records in the States or in Canada, whoever put this together, really knew what to do. Now, is it a real record? It's more like a comp, but I swear to God, this is the greatest Sweet album ever produced. The ultimate Sweet's greatest hits.
It's kind of true. Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with Desolation Boulevard, the US version. This is what everybody knows in the States. It took the best of the UK version of Desolation Boulevard and the best from Sweet Fanny Adams. It combined singles onto it, much like what we did with the Beatles stuff back in the day. Yeah. And it produced a fantastic record. Ballroom Blitz. Come on. When you're show me a better song to roller skate in when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Ballroom Blitz. Pure glam mayhem with that. Brian sounds great. The 16s, harmonies. It hits you like a sledgehammer right in the face. It's fantastic. The songwriting's great. Fox on the Run. Now, the version that we get here is the single version, not the album version, the weaker album version that's on Desolation Boulevard, but the hit-making single version. Yeah. Dual guitars, Attitude for Days. It's infectious. No, You Don't. Gee, Merry Christmas.
That's a great
Heavy
song.
Drive Stomp, massive hooks. Turn It Down. It's fantastic. I would say, is it a perfect record? Damn near. The U.S. version it's a greatest hits record.
It's true. There's not a single song on here I don't like. Yeah.
No, there's not a song on here. Now, is it a real Sweet album? Well, in the United States, you're grasping at straws, but in the U.S., that was what we knew. So it's fantastic.
Nice.
Well, that's what I got. So, I mean, first off, it's a great sounding record.
Yes.
Everything sounds clear. There's space between the instruments, which is always nice. So you can hear everybody well. The drums especially sound really, really good. The version that I was listening to, I don't know if it's on the greatest hit, the one you were talking about, but there's a song on there called Man with a Golden Arm. And
that's not on our domestic one.
Okay. No. So I was listening to probably the UK one, and it's got a massive drum solo in it. And you would think that, okay, drum solo, that extended drum solo kind of put you to sleep. But Mick Tucker is such a phenomenal drummer that it absolutely holds my interest. And his playing is amazing. I mean, there's beats in there that are thrash beats, and this is 1974. This guy is phenomenal. Okay, phenomenal drummer, right?
Yep.
You got some amazing variety on this. The dramatic epic 16s is great. Rockers like Solid Cold Brass. There's a punky song on there called Turn It Down. Lady Starlight is just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It's melodic. It's a gorgeous song. The
both
version
of those aren't on our domestic one too, right?
That is probably none of these are. Then there's Medusa. I was going to talk about Medusa.
Yeah, that's not. No.
Okay, so Medusa is just on the UK version. Medusa is an amazing song. It reminds me of Liar by Queen. Complex, interesting composition. Yeah. I mean, on this album, I can hear how they might have influenced. I hear, bands that were influenced by them. I hear some Motley Crue in here. The sort of the heavy rock with the poppy hooks. I hear a lot of that. I even get a little bit of a Twisted Sister vibe on this. I don't know if they influenced Twisted Sister or not, but there's some Twisted Sister in here as well. There's absolutely no skips on this. All the songs are great. My favorites would be, I guess, the songs that are not included on your version, which is Be Medusa and Lady Starlight. But I would say Medusa would be, Medusa, Cockroach. I probably in their entire catalog, those might be my two favorite songs out of the whole package, because they're just phenomenal compositions. Amazing musicianship, great great songwriting, just everything. And the way this record sounds, you hear everything. It's amazing. All those bass lines, you hear that, you hear the bass at the same level as the guitars, which is phenomenal, right? So you've got the sort of the interplay going all the time between the two. Just fantastic. So
nice. Just wanted to show you, just for kicks, this is the record that comes right after the one that we all talked about. This is cut above the rest. And then we've got Sweet 6, which was Water's Edge, and then Identity Crisis. Here's one of the Andy Scott suite from later. So then it gets really sort of complicated and weird. And even the US version with Steve Priest put out a live album. So that happened at one point, which is pretty good. They were a good band. But good stuff. Excellent.
Yeah. So Martin, did you want to mention anything upcoming, book-wise, show-wise, YouTube?
Not particularly. Of course, we got the video channel, The Contrarians. I've got my audio podcast, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff. Still got Kiss 76. Nothing else much coming up. I did do a sweet book, but it's now out of print.
Oh, there you go. There's the Kiss.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. And I've still got, the massive actually I've got a fair number of Van Halen at 50, I noticed, and the Big Dio book. I have a lot of copies of those. So if anybody wants those, check them out with me. I'll sign them, send them out. And maybe we can even do a little deal and throw in a little freebie book of some sort. We'll see. Anyways, contact me. We can do something. But that's mostly what's going on.
All right, cool.
All right. Grant, you're on YouTube 24/7. What's coming up?
Well, someone's got to do it. I got an interview with Larry Kennedy of the band The Jelly Bricks coming up. Power Pop Greatness, ladies and gentlemen. And that'll be coming up tomorrow. And then the Psychedelic Breakfast will be on, I don't know. I'll just see who knows what's going to happen. I don't know day by day. But Psychedelic Breakfast on Sunday at 9 a.m. And then at 8 p.m. Eastern Time is the 1972 listening party, which is part 4 and 5. And there's so many requests. It might go to 10 episodes before I get through everyone's requests. So
Nice. Well, folks, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Make sure you hit the like. I want to thank these gentlemen for doing this, and we will see you next month with a new band and a different rating. And take care, everybody. Hang on, guys. And we'll see you all.
Okay.
Cheers.
See ya.